You've got AI tools, you've got the tech. So why does it still feel like you're drowning in work? The problem isn't access to AI, it's knowing where AI actually fits into your workflow. That's why we're hosting the Global AI Clinic, a live session focused on one word: productivity. This isn't just another productivity hack webinar. We're diving into the real questions. How are professionals integrating AI into their workflows? This session is for you if you're tired of spinning your wheels and ready for real, actionable insights. Bring your real frustrations. Join us live and leave with practical ideas you can start applying immediately.
You're welcome to Global AI Clinic, the March edition. Global AI Clinic is a platform where we sensitize persons on AI questions, so practical, actionable insights about AI that you can put into your work and be more productive. Talking about being more productive leads me to the theme for the March edition, which is productivity, doing more of what matters, how AI turns overwhelm into output. And we're going to make this as interactive and as lively as possible. So feel free to use the chat to drop in what's one annoying task that you wish AI could take off your plate right now. There are no wrong answers, right? So what's one annoying task in your current workday that you wish AI could take off your plate? I'll be waiting to read in some answers, but that's exactly just what we'll be talking. Shortage of AI tools, but the question is, how are we using it? Are we actually using it to get some of our time back? And we have an incredible lineup of industry experts that will be helping us to get more productive with AI tools. So at the end of today's session, you would leave with a lot of knowledge on how to make the best use of the AI tools in your stack. With no further ado, I'd like to invite Dr. Juliet, who is the founder and the president of Houston AI Institute and the pioneer of Global AI Clinic. Dr. Juliet, the floor is yours for your opening remarks.
Yeah, good morning again, everybody. I know it's Saturday, and thank you so much for making time. So, Houston AI Institute is, I would say, an ecosystem for anything about AI. So, we bridge the gap between the hype and the real world. And that means that we talk with and try to find the solutions for business owners, especially as they struggle to make sense of all the tools and where they can get a real return on investment, for maybe AI adoption. We also work with them to understand the needs in the workplace, because AI is changing the way we work, the way we live, the way we do everything. So for the people entering the workforce, the bother there, the worry for them is, okay, how do I adapt? What new skills must I learn for me to be able to be productive, or for me to even get hired into certain roles? Then we also work with students to help them prepare for those future, I would say, career paths that AI is opening for us. So we work with the community to educate them on ethics, making sure that the developers are putting guardrails, especially now with agentic AI. Decision making now is being left even for these, I would say, models. So we are educating the community. So wherever you are in your journey, from I don't understand AI, I don't know what it is, I don't know what to do with it, to I am a developer, I know AI, and I'm a business owner. And whether you're matured, whether you're starting, we can help you through our programs. And we have trainings, we have workshops. Some of them, I would say most of them are actually free workshops, and some of them are paid, depending on what is needed. So come on by, and we can help you either get started or help you move further from where you are.
Thank you, Dr. Juliet, for that very beautiful one remark, and thanks for setting the stage for what we have planned for today's session. So it leads me straight into introducing our awesome lineup of speakers: Dr. Juliet Otisa Johnson, Matthew Sudesh, and Ajitesh Dash. So starting off with Dr. Juliet, who gave us the remark. Dr. Juliet is the founder of Houston AI Institute. She's a strategic leader with 15 years of experience driving global sustainability, innovation, and now powering AI adoption at the intersection of education, business, and governance. Our focus right now is empowering youth, executives, and policymakers with the AI skills, ethical insights, and transformative tools to create measurable impact in a technology-driven world. Dr. Juliet, we're so glad to have you here with us.
Thank you.
Moving on, we have someone who is the founder of Bravura. She's a strategic AI operations consultant. She's a visionary AI leader, rather, with 20 plus years in tech from .com to AI era, specializing in transforming small business operations through scalable systems and AI integration. Our focus, empowering entrepreneurs to reclaim 15 to 20 hours weekly by building foundational operational systems, ensuring AI amplifies, not replaces strategic thinking. Please make welcome Otisa Johnson.
Thank you. I'm joining my audio from my cell, so hopefully this works.
Yes, we can hear you clearly now.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. The next speaker on our list is a product leader and an AI practitioner. He's an innovator with 9+ years experience building AI-driven products in education, SaaS, and talent platforms, now advancing autonomous agents and agentic learning systems at Bauer College of Business. His focus currently is in bridging AI and education to create scalable, impactful learning solutions and decision support systems. Please let's make welcome Ajitesh Das.
Hello, everyone. Good to be here.
Great to have you. And last but certainly not the least, we have Matthew Sudesh, who is a digital transformation leader at Covestro. He's a pioneer in applied AI, industrial IoT, and digital twins, driving manufacturing innovation to enhance reliability, safety, and operational resilience. His focus is in leading end-to-end digital transformation from strategy to sustained value through cloud platforms and connected worker technologies. Good to have you here, Matthew.
Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone.
Hi, thank you. So moving straight into the panel discussion, where I'll be asking our incredible lineup of speakers particular questions, and they'll be giving us insights from their years of experience. I would implore you to please pay attention, sit tight, and if questions come as they are responding, please do all to drop it in the chat. We'll be having a Q&A session right at the very end where we would attend to every one of those questions. So starting off with Otisa, I'd really like you to, help answer or help explain this question. Why do many professionals right now in 2026 still feel overwhelmed even after adopting AI tools? Otisa, over to you.
Yeah. Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. I think there are a few reasons. So the first, I would say there's hesitation because it's an emerging technology, right? We have not figured out all of the ins and outs of AI. And I think with any new emerging technology, there's skepticism, right? And so there's your external skepticism and your internal skepticism. Your internal skepticism usually has to do with privacy, right? If I put information and ask vulnerable questions, is this safe? And then your external, I think, is okay, well, everyone else seems to be okay with this. Maybe I should try it. So there's a bit of intrigue as to what AI will do. And I think with a lot of professionals, especially if your company has not adopted it completely, then it is very difficult for you to, use it in your workplace. If your company has adopted it, then there's guardrails and there are rules around, compliance and how you should actually use it and what information within the business is okay to leverage AI for. So I think it varies. I think, if a company is forward thinking and they are already have a strategy as to how they want to deploy AI and they're currently using it and testing it in different areas of the business, then typically I think those folks feel more confident about actually using it. I truly think before I used it in my corporate job, I was using it outside of my corporate job. right? I was using it to build my business. I was using it, just to, save time, right? And then I started to use it in my business to do briefings and summaries just that were super quick. And I was like, oh my goodness, why would I do it the other way? So I think it varies. If a company has fully adopted it and said it's okay to use, then it works. I've dealt with private and public sector businesses and non-for-profits. And non-for-profits, some of them don't want, to use it right away because there's case information. They don't want bias. So they're really very skeptical. They're okay with using it maybe in the marketing, that they use, right, to make those kinds of materials, but not necessarily to run the day-to-day operations.
Thanks for that insight, Otisam. Especially when you spoke about skepticism, it's something I could also, really relate with, especially when you're explaining that, persons that have companies or are in companies that are, open to the use of AI tools tend to adopt it faster than persons that are just starting off on their own. Which leads me to the very next question to Matthew. So how do you then decide what tasks to automate and what should remain human?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. All right. So very interesting questions. I would say basically based on personal choices at first, but let's try to break it down a little bit more in detail, right? So first of all, you don't have to automate everything for sure, right? So just because AI is available doesn't mean that you have to automate everything. So there is a lot of things within your work environment, your personal lifestyle that you enjoy working with and you're good at. Keep that for yourself. You don't have to actually have AI, help with that. But what can you automate? The repetitive, mundane task that everybody actually says. So it is actually different for everybody to identify what that is. For personally for me, I dared to actually do a presentation. I have to do a lot of presentations, but I have the idea, but I never like the fact that I have to sit down and put it together in the structure and style to present it to somebody. So that kind of things actually AI started helping a lot. So it became more enjoyable for me, where I can put my input in, but the rest of the formatting and everything else, this can be done by AI. Then another area is basically documents. So, many times, especially in my work environment, which is manufacturing, you deal with a lot of documentation, whether it's reading a manual or a procedure or something like that. I don't think anybody would actually want to enjoy reading those things. So AI greatly helps there in terms of actually extracting what you want to especially focus on in those areas from those kind of documents. So that's the first level of task that I would say the AI should automate, like the mundane task, which actually you don't like to do, which AI can be good at, like summarizing and things like that without losing value, right? So that's the very basic one. And the second level is where a little bit more, AI is kind of like your thinking partner, right? So you can actually bounce ideas off of things. So you can actually, if you're trying to write up something or creating something, you still want to hold the your creative urge, but you can actually bounce ideas of AI and get different angles on your vision and things like that. So that's like a second level of automation where it's actually it's like a thinking partner. The AI is like your thinking partner. So it also it's not only that the creative part of it actually happens within the corporate environment or a company's environment based on what business you're actually doing, and it actually depends on how AI is integrated into your systems. The maturity of that automation depends on what AI can do outside of just generating text, right? Like, a lot of times it is integrated into emails or, meeting environments. Like if it is actually, if it is integrated into a meeting environment, after the meeting, it can actually generate all the ideas that is actually discussed in the meeting and turn it into task that is assigned to the folks that are actually part of that mission, right? So that's kind of an automation that actually happens nowadays. So it depends on the tools that are attached to the AI. But those are three levels, I would say. The one is basically the repetitive, mundane task that you should completely, leave it up to the AI. The second level is some level of thinking that where you are also part of it, which you actually, use AI to automate after you're thinking. And the third level is basically you're in full control, and you're basically using AI the way you want to actually. So that's more advanced in terms of, and it's more applicable for, I would say, software engineering and those kind of jobs where AI tools are available for you to actually create more stuff. So those are the three levels that I would say, and of course the top level, all three levels. I mean, other than the first level, the next two levels, the human is always in control and has to be in control to have the. So, yeah.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Matthew. That was quite enlightening. So basically, outsource the boring stuff to AI and stick with what you're really good at, and use AI as a thinking partner. So bounce off ideas, brainstorm with AI to get the perfect plan for whatever tasks you need to, keep in your control. So this is to Aditesh. Aditesh, so what does a truly effective AI-powered workflow look like in a typical workday?
Thank you. So before I answer this question, I want to build on what Matthew had said about the three levels. And when I look at an AI-powered workflow, what I have done is that I look at three factors. One is it technically feasible to use AI in the workflow? Second, is it economically more attractive to use the AI? Most cases it is. And the third thing that I usually look at is it, I would say, legally or ethically or morally allowed or to be used in that workflow, right? So what are the three things that I'm talking about? Technically feasible, what I'm talking about is when you use AI, the output that you are going to get, how effective it is. Of course, there's a human to check this, right? There are certain tasks that a human can do, and that's what we prefer. But there are certain tasks that AI can do better than us. Like you said, some of the repetitive tasks. So if we can figure out that this is technically feasible using current LLMs that we have, that's a checkbox, right? Second is economically attractive. The compute cost is quite high. So in our cases, some of the personal cases that we have, we pay $20 and we can use the LLM as much as we want. But in enterprise cases, there's always a token cost, right? So in order to generate that for yourself, how much would it cost you? Will it be sixth of a cent to generate 100 words? And then, so you have to balance that out by saying, if I'm going to use this flow, how much compute cost or token cost am I going to use? If that is doable, that is within your budget, that will definitely save money, go ahead. And the third thing is it morally responsible to use this? That is a third element. And of course, there are many debates around this. Because I work in learning systems, education, there's always this element there where, for example, if I've created a learning agent and the students are given feedback by the learning agent, how effective it is, should we not use it, should we actually use it, what part of the learner feedback should be incorporated in that workflow, right? So these are the three things that usually I try to answer before I even start designing the workflow. So in my case, one example that I can give is there was a system where there were 1,500 students in one of the courses, and what they would do is they would fill out a survey every semester. In the beginning, it was like a manual survey, like they would fill it out on paper and then they would hand it back in class, and the TAs would then sit and tabulate all those results. That moved to a manual Excel template, same thing. So they would just fill it out on an Excel and mail it back to them. And then, of course, again, the TAs will sit and tabulate all of them. So what we did was we implemented a workflow using Power Automate, which is one of the apps in Office 365. So we basically created a survey. It's a Microsoft form which you deliver to all the students. They fill those out, and then what happens is an Excel template, the same template that they had used earlier, it generates the same template for them, mails it to them with their scores, with their assessments, right? And of course, because it's a Microsoft form, if you guys have used it, it just tabulates everything to a master data, right? So what it did was that was the flow. So from going from manual work, using an actual automation tool, and then in some bits we did use Copilot to help us build those flow out. And then the part of the human element that came in was even if it gave us a flow, uh, I had to manually check for it, right? Because I knew VB script. So I could check the code, understand how the XML structure works. But those elements will always be there, right? So when you look at an AI flow, in each step of the flow, you might want to consider how do I tweak this? And this will come from your experience of dealing with, let's say you know about JavaScript. So how do I change this part of the flow that works well for us? So this addressed the automation of it, where it took away the manual task. And also when they were using this Microsoft Forms, because this is within a system, it's a single sign-on system within the UH system, there's a whole lot of data privacy now because they are using a flow that is within Office 365 using the organizations, in our case, our University of Houston's uh, email, right? So this is the workflow that we did. And then again, we can use this, you can extend it. And in the other case, we created Copilot agents that could give learner feedback. But then we thought maybe in that case, that workflow where there were 6 modules, there were 6 agents created. And then when the students put in their data, they will put in their answers, they would get a feedback on that. We thought maybe in that case we don't need the AI to work on it. So there's this trade-off, right? In some cases you would want AI and automation and then do the entire workflow, which works in this case, which is like I would say anything that has asynchronous communication with the AI from the user, uh, you go ahead with that. But if there's a synchronous communication with the AI agent at some point, I would say in my cases, I've seen that better not to use AI in that case, or maybe do the workflow that is not directly related to the user interaction. So maybe that is something that we have seen in my experience in building learning systems when I was building asynchronous courses or even other designs that we have created. So that is what I come from when I start thinking of AI workflows. At what point would you like to have or not to have the AI in the workflow itself?
Thank you so much, Aditesh. I really like how you bordered around the 3 elements. I think it gives persons a template of what they can work with, especially in building AI workflows. And your mention around morally responsible, as you said, it's a debate bringing us to understand the importance of, ethics in AI, which is still a topic that, many are still talking about. So leading me to the very last question. By this time, if you do have questions for any of the speakers, please feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll be getting to them very soon. Dr. Juliet, I'd really like you to answer this. If someone wants to improve productivity with AI today, where should they start?
Thank you so much, Shay, and thank you to the speakers. And before I answer that question, I will spend a little bit of time on ethics. That is one thing that is dear to my heart. And one of the reasons that the Houston AI Institute is actually here is to help us get this conversation started. And I'm glad that it is gaining traction. People are speaking about it more. The thing about AI, I mean, it has been around, but with generative AI, it's kind of just exploded in the last 3 years. And the systems, the frameworks for safety, security that was built is simply not catching up. That is why we need to step back, take a breather, and think about the future of our world and the future of our children. And So for bias to creep in, it has to come from the data, and then we'll have to make sure that we're thinking about the types of data that is being used to train the large language models, that we are using in our workplaces and in our businesses. So going back to your question now, if someone wants to improve productivity with AI today, where should they start? Very interesting question. So typically you have to do an assessment, I would say, an assessment of you, if you're the person, or if you're a business, an assessment of your business, where are you today? What are those pain points that you have? What are those repetitive tasks and that you can ask AI to do for you? And then you can be freed up to do the creative thinking that you should be doing as a human. So if typically you read lots and lots large text every day and you have to summarize them and you have to make sense of all that text, that would be a place to start. Because in my opinion, that is not a very good use of your time. Half the time, by the time you read 2 pages, you've already forgotten the other ones. And that is why these intelligence systems are there to help us. They are not replacing us in any way. They can help you summarize, especially if you're maybe in the legal profession. Or if you're like me, I have to be abreast of what is going on around the AI world every day. There's no way I'm going to read 2,000 magazines and look at every single thing that is on LinkedIn and look at everything that is coming out of Facebook or Instagram, because I can tell you for sure, as I step out of my house, somebody's going to be asking me what Anthropic did or what whoever person did. And there's just no way I can do all that. So that is where personally I use AI. So I build agents that can help me summarize all that. And I wake up in the morning and I just get an email, boom, 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 5 bullets, tell me, what happened last night from the time that I slept to this morning when I woke up, because the world is so global. While you're sleeping, other people are awake and they're working. So it tells me what is going on. And then I am very smart. I am knowledgeable and I can talk about that without having to spend 10 hours going through all of that. So if you're in legal services, like I said, you can summarize your brief. You can get, I would say, historical information about cases that are related to what you've done, because I know in the courtrooms you have to cite precedents. So it can help you do other research. And there are so many different, I would say, AI models now, that can do that for you. And if you're maybe in marketing, you do some kind of research, that is also a place. So now I don't have to pay McKinsey $10,000 to get information that is readily available there. If you're an administrative assistant and you have to go through tons and tons of emails, and that is a place that AI can help you with streamlining your work, so that it can leave you to do the creative work that humans, should be, so that we can be available, because that is what has been missing. We are there, but we're not available anymore. So we can be available to think better with clarity and be more productive. So look at those, somebody mentioned, I think it was Matthew, that mentioned those mundane tasks. Look at those repetitive. They have to be repetitive, mundane tasks. And they have to be things that are boring that you don't want to do. Because if I enjoy doing it, I don't want to give it to AI, because that is part of me. So if you don't like it, you're doing it all the time. And if AI, and again, that's mentioned about making sure that it is an actual task that AI can do for you. Remember, garbage in, garbage out. So if it's a task that is not prepared to do and it's not equipped to do for you, then your output is just going to be, as bland as that. So your customer relationship marketing systems, those are places where you have those chatbots. You can train them to answer your customers. You don't have to sit and sift through every single call that comes in. when you even call a bank these days, you have agents answering, yeah, those are not humans. They talk to you through everything. But the bankers now, you go into the bank, you do what you need to do, and you get out before you're going to sit there and I can't even remember the last time I actually went into a bank to have a transaction because everything now is being handled, by all these agents. So again, look at those things that you do digitally every day that is mundane, that you don't like doing, and see if AI can help you with that. Okay,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Dr. Juliet. Thank you, Dr. Juliet, for that. I like how actionable you made the insight you gave. That is, you could just look at your workflow, your daily workflow, and itemize the boring stuff, the mundane stuff, the things you don't like, right? And outsource those or delegate those to AI so you can actually do what you love and what you enjoy. So from then on, we'll just go straight into the questions. The questions are already coming in. The first one I have here is from Natalie. Natalie is asking, can the panel tell us more about GPTs? What are they and how can we leverage them? Matthew, do you want to take this?
Yeah, I'll take this. All right. So I'm not sure if you want the whole technical things about the GPT. GPT is actually generative transformers, but uh, so language models are developed based on the LLMs, the chat GPTs, and all those things are developed based on certain models, right? So certain algorithms, which is basically neural networks and all that stuff. The GPT, the transformer part, is that basically gave it the boost that we are actually seeing in the last 2 years. So let me take it back a little bit. So initially, what they were trying to solve was language translation. Look at this way: they were trying to solve language translation, right? One language to another language. So if you actually do word by word translation, it usually loses the context value and things like that between any two languages if you just try to just say word by word. So that was the biggest computer problem that that did exist before. So they come up with mathematical models to solve that, so that the original language sentence that you give, the model tries to understand the context and then try to translate it. So that's where the transformer model is. And along with inventing that, they came up this with the LLM that could then be used for a lot of purposes. That's what happened, right? So GPTs are essentially your LLMs. Now it's not only the language models. There is vision models, and there is robotic models, and there's other things that based on that GPT technology, transformer technologies, right? The chat GPTs and the Claudes of the world that we were actually talking about is the generative AIs that we use for a lot of this, document summarization, image generation, and those kind of tasks that you can actually do with your daily life, right? And you can see on the other side of things, vision things and things like that is applied mostly in the industries, and you can even say that some of this self-driving technologies and things like that are part of it as well. So it's a very interesting field, and it's still developing quite a bit. So yes, GPTs are for you, not essentially the language models that are available for you right now to do a lot of the stuff. Yes.
Thanks, Matthew. Natalie, I hope that answered your question.
Yes,
Moving
yes.
on to the
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you, Matthew.
Okay.
I and just real quick, I was digging more into creating your own GPTs, like within chat. We're starting to see creating your own agents to do things for you.
Yes. So that doesn't require, you can create your own stuff, but you don't have to agents and all those things. You don't have to get into unless like you said, privacy and all those kind of issues are your major concerns. You don't actually want to get into the development of the trans that kind of an architecture. You can still there are other ways to actually achieve that and develop agents for yourselves. Yes, but yeah, developing agents, that is essentially now the whole lot of productivity is coming from having agents developed on top of this GPT's transformers so that they can do particular tasks very intelligently.
Got it. Thank you.
Just to add on to Matthew's point, so Natalie, basically the GPT that you use, ChatGPT, now this is more generic, it's more wide. So the agent is more focused, right? You want to have what Issa talked about guardrails, right? So agent is hyper focused on one task. So that is where agents come in. So if you want to create your own custom GPTs, that will be more focused, specific to what you want to do, rather than giving a prompt on ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, right? So that's more broad based, whereas agents are more focused in this case.
Thank you. That clarifies it as well. Thank you.
Yeah, and for me, Natalie, remember when I spoke about having to not read the news and all the magazines and finding all those. So that is really one place where I use my GPT. So like that said, it has to be an agent that performs a single task. So this, my GPT, I actually call that GPT Ajit. Sorry, that was from your name, really. So I called it GPT Ajit, and that GPT, the task for that GPT is specific, scurry around, read the news for me, summarize this specific information for me. What happened in the last 24 hours that is important that I have to know as the CEO of this company. And it does that and sends it to me by 6 a.m. every morning. I receive that. So those are, for you, the GPTs, they have to do specific tasks for you.
Great. So moving on to the next question from Adeze. She's asking, can the panel tell us more about how students can use AI productively without harming their learning? Ajitesh, you work closely with students. Would you mind to take this question?
Yes, but before that, I think Otisa wanted to chime in first, and then I'll get back in. Otisa, do you want to?
Sure thing.
Yes.
Otisa?
Are you able to hear me? So I was
Yes,
just going to say a very practical way of using the agents. Let's just say a lot of us have created digital, let's just say digital assistants, digital employees within our general LLM. So if you have ChatGPT or you have Claude, you may have actually, similar to what Dr. Juliet is saying, created activities for them. So you've given a very specific set of rules, prompts, guardrails as to what you'd like to see and how you would like to see it and what frequency you would like to have it. And you've basically automated that activity. So now you no longer manually go in and have to request that every single day. It automatically does it for you. So that is another way that is very practical. Lots of people, have agents that they have created within the model of, say, for instance, a ChatGPT. And they've actually, created all of those digital employees, digital assistants, whatever you want to call it, that do these mundane activities so that you don't have to go in and do that. So now that's some hours saved from your day that, you no longer have to go in, put in this very specific prompt to get this specific output. So think of it like that in a very practical day-to-day usage that I see. And I do personally, for my own stuff, I do the same thing that Dr. Juliet does for news, as well as I do it for various parts of my business. When it comes to summarizing emails and replies and networking events, I go, I give a little bit. I already know how I want it to speak. I already know how I want to deliver my comments. You can do it for your LinkedIn posts. Let's just say, all of these kinds of things that you're doing, very frequently, you can basically automate into some type of a GPT and make it so that you don't have to do it the same way, especially if you're doing it every single day. Like if I'm replying to the same things, I'm doing meeting notes and things like that, status reports and things. I don't want to keep doing, reformatting it, I want to be able to come in, summarize the week's information and have that report pulled together for me with numbers, text, and all the things like that. So hopefully that gives you some additional ways in which to leverage.
Love it. That was very clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Odessa. So regarding the question about using AI as a student, right? Before I even talk about how to use, always check your university's academic policy, first of all, and your faculty's policy about using AI, right? It is variable. Some faculty allows you to use AI, some don't, and then it also depends on the academic policy of the university. Having said that, right, how to use AI as a student? So I have seen, so for in my work, right, I work closely with students, and the two things that most faculty and what I have seen is that uh, critical thinking is something that they keep harping on, right? That's the most important thing. So for example, when you give an AI a prompt about, hey, can you tell me about a concept? Ask questions to the AI, right? You should ask, why is this? Or how did it come to this, right? If you ask the AI about Newton's second law of motion, and you say, this is what Newton's second law of motion states, and you say, but how? How does it work that way, right? Why does it work that way? Ask for it. There will be times when it might lose track, but it will always point you in the right direction. So that is the way for a student, I would say, ask the AI, how did it reach the answer? Or why is this the right answer according to them, right? So that's one way of pushing the AI and then breaking it down into smaller concepts. For example, if you want, it's a bigger concept that the AI is talking to you, you can do ELI 5. I'm sure what you know what ELI 5 is. ELI 5 is explain to me like I am 5 years old, right? Do ELI 5. The way to do ELI 5 is say, hey, I don't know anything about this. Like I am coming to this as a beginner. So explain to this like I'm like 5 years old. Of course, don't say 5 years old, but maybe like a beginner, right? A novice. It'll break down the concepts for you that okay, this concept has these three sub concepts that you need to understand, and it'll break it down. Ask the why and the hows of each of the sub concepts, so you can build towards the bigger concept over time. Second thing is ask for the source URL. It will generate things that is not there at all. There is no research, there is no material that talks about it. Ask for the source URL. Where did you get this concept? Where did you see this? Is it from maybe a paper from MIT, or maybe a paper from Harvard or somewhere, right? It could be from Science, well-published journal, right? Ask for the source URL and actually ask you to give it the URL. Click on it and check if the URL actually exists or not, right? So these are the ways as a student, you should ask the hows of it, the why of it. The what is given by the AI. Second is, where did you find it? This is the URL. This is the way you can learn as a student. And again, always whatever you generate, and then, for example, if you want to generate some writing, read through it. Does it make sense to you? Because AI will generate an essay for you, and in the middle of the essay there will be paragraph that has no linkage to the topic that you have given it, right? So it has come a long way from doing it, but then it will go around and talk about stuff that may not be there. So always break down the material that you have given it to them, or whatever it has generated, and then ask for the hows and the whys of it. And then that way it will be good for you to learn the concepts. Maybe look into critical thinking. What are there are 10 steps of critical thinking, right? So they're like the 5 levels of why, and then the counterintuitive arguments, all those things. So think about learning about critical thinking and then question the AI based on that, right? And then that will actually deepen your understanding of the AI. And then yeah, so that's where I come from. Wherever I have seen students, and then mostly we tell them to ask questions, keep asking till it hones down on the concept itself. So that's my take on it. I would love to hear other panelists talk about this.
Can you hear me? I'm not
Yes, we
sure if
can
I'm.
hear you.
Okay, just to add to what Atesh was just saying, I dealt with a group of students and I introduced them to Notebook LM. And I want to bring that tool into the conversation because I do think for students, it really is a game changer. I think everyone learns differently. And I think now, no matter what the way, what is the way that you learn, whether you're a visual, I think it's kinesthetic. There's all these different ways in which people learn. There is an opportunity for you to actually have a tool that will meet that need. Right. Where before if you were a student, you had to maybe struggle, to understand this text. And maybe some people, it came very easily. I like Notebook LM because you can take various sources, whether they are websites, PDFs, blocks of text. Trying to think, there's all different kind of media types that you can add into it, and then it will create for you a mind map, a podcast style study buddy that you can listen to. So whatever your way of thinking is to learn, it pretty much has. I think there's like 9 different ways you can learn using Notebook LM. And one, mind map is one of my favorite. Infographics, a podcast style, there's a presentation, there's flashcards. So there's all these different ways in which I believe the student of today, using their critical thinking skills, can grab all of these different resources and actually, take them into one tool and synthesize how they want to learn that material. And professionals can do it, but I especially think it's helpful for students, especially of a collegiate nature, to be able to take some of the resources and further their knowledge. So that's a very practical way that I taught some students just a week or two ago of how to use it, basically to learn quicker. They have a lot of classes. Some of them had very heavy loads. And this was like, oh my goodness, I could do that. Like, it's like, yeah, like these tools are out there. And, not all are created equal, of course, but there are some good things in them that will help some people progress really quickly and get concepts that maybe they didn't get before. And we all would like to think we're extremely clear. And I think professors like to think that they're extremely clear. And I wrote the syllabus and you should understand. And then there's still trouble, right? And so now there's these tools that can aid in that learning. And I actually think strengthen critical thinking skills and make students better.
Thanks, Otisa. Matthew, do you want to add to this?
Yeah, no, I was actually going to say, if you're a student and feeling particularly energetic, you can have AI test your own skills, right? So it's basically have AI test your understanding of the knowledge, and you can set the bar very high, and then try to actually do that to gauge yourself, so that you can make it better, right? So.
Great. So now to the last question, which I think Matthew, you already started giving an answer to on the chat. Alexis is asking about integrity concerns with AI adoption, and she's worried that there would be like a loss of intelligence or skill once AI is normalized. Would you want to shed some more light to your answer in the chat?
Yeah, I mean, this is general industry consensus that's happening in all this, and I tried to actually do it by an analogy, like you introduce calculator, and does that actually replace math or any of the mathematician's job? Not really, because now you don't have to actually memorize multiplication tables or things like that. You need to understand the concept, but you're not actually worried about that calculations. Everybody, without second thought, would actually use any calculation tool, whether it's Excel, calculator, or things like that, right? So does it actually reduced our mathematical skills? No, we went to other plane where it has actually creating other stuff. So the same thing is happening with the software engineering side of things, right? So it's basically pure code generation is now getting offloaded basically to AI, but the human is taking a step above that level, which is basically, you're looking at architecture, how you actually do the full stack things and all those things. So before, there was value in actually knowing a particular programming language and deep into that. I don't think moving forward that will be the case. You need to actually have a much broader knowledge, and especially in the area that you're trying to address, and the tools and technologies, infrastructure, the same. So that's basically saying that a software engineer's plane of execution is actually elevated with these tools. So you cannot stay at that bottom level anymore, right? So that's what's happening. So you also have the other part of it is actually saying that the brain, I've actually seen one of the studies, it's actually saying that it's probably, I think MIT or something, say that if you were to actually use ChatGPT or some of these things for writing, over time, the cognitive sense in the brain actually reduces. That applies for everything. And the brain is the largest muscle, so it's basically, if you don't use it, you will lose it. It doesn't have to do, if you think about it, it doesn't have to do anything with the AI. It is applicable in general. So even if you use AI, then you have to think about is that the time or the efficiency you're getting, you're actually using it somewhere else to actually being productive. So ultimately, we have to be more productive as a society. Otherwise, these tools doesn't really matter, right? So let's say if you gain some efficiency in the existing work, but it's not productive, it's not increasing the productivity, that doesn't mean these tools doesn't really matter. So like I said, you don't have to apply your intelligence in one area for sure, but you will be applying it somewhere else. So it's not your intelligence is not gonna lose. Your skills in certain areas shift. That's what's going to happen. Not the intelligence part of it. So that's my take on it.
Thanks, Matthew. Alexis, I hope that addressed your concerns. Does anyone on the panel want to, still speak to this question?
So for me, speaking from the ethical standpoint and having studied the human behavior for a long time in my lifetime, those who will cheat, they will still cheat anyway. It has nothing to do with AI. And I say it's a human problem. It's not an AI problem. So taking shortcuts, that's a human problem. It has nothing to do with AI. Like Matthew said, there's just going to be a shift in your skill set for you to do better things with the other skills, that you have. Remember the days when they had where great grandfathers used to cut the grass with a machete and all of that, and now we have the lawnmowers, and you can farm and do everything with the tractors, and just like that, you have your crops and all of that. But we're still here. So that's, the same analogy. We moved our skill set to better things, better innovation, actually using our skill sets to produce things that will help humanity, move forward. So that is the way that I look at it. So with AI, it's how you use it. It has to do with the mindset, how you use it. So you can use it as to do co-work. You can use it to help you think. For the students, you can help. It's like going to your teacher. It's okay, teacher, what is 2x plus y equals 20? They're just going to give you the answer. But if you say the same thing, show me how to do this, she or he is going to bring paper and pencil, go through and teach you how to do it. So it's the same thinking process. So ethics is something that is embedded in all of us. It's intrinsic. It has to be something that comes out of you. It is not something that AI is going to solve. It is a human problem that we, the people, have to take cognizance of and try to do something about it. So I hope that was helpful in my own small way.
Thanks, Dr. Juliet. And we are right on time. I believe that was our last question. Thank you, Matthew, Ajitesh, Otisa, and Dr. Juliet. This has been a very great panel, as Terry also commented. I'm sure everyone here has learned quite a lot and also has actionable takeaways to make the most of AI and be more productive in their workspace. With that, I would like to pass over the mic to Dr. Juliet for our closing remark as we draw the curtains on today's session.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you, the panelists. You guys were just amazing. And thank you, participants, for taking the time to learn with us today. We are actually going to be moving the clinic to work days because we think that Saturdays is a little bit stretchy. So we'll see how that works in the next maybe 2 or 3 sessions, maybe in April and May. So keep an eye out. And if you're interested in actually building stuff, we do have what we call it HAI build that is going to be coming out as well, where you're able to participate and build something, a product that you can take with you. So I am going to say thank you so much. Go to our website, check us out. You can also see what we're doing on LinkedIn. Thank you so much and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
See you
you.
next time. Bye.
Bye.